Hey, this is GunsmithBeard back with another gun video this week. Thank you guys for returning. If you are a subscriber, I do appreciate it, and I have seen this week a lot of new subscribers, so welcome to the channel. Hope you guys enjoy the content. I also want to thank our channel supporters, which are Brownells, SwampFox Optics, and Shooter Innovations. As you know, we can't do a whole lot without the companies that support me behind the scenes, so a big thank you to them. So let's dive right in it. What is the gun this week? Without further delay, I'm going to talk about this Beretta A300 Ultima Patrol 7+1 semi-auto shotgun. So when these first came out, they were really hard to get because Beretta only released a handful. And what I mean by handful is like when I went to Brownells, they had like 20 and they were gone within hours. When the second go around came out after SHOT Show and like several months had passed, I was watching this like a hawk, so I did not miss the second release of the shotgun, and gladly thank the Lord I got the second one. And my first impressions of the shotgun right off the gate is, and something that I haven't heard anybody really say, is the texture on the buttstock and the forend. It's super aggressive, almost to the point where I almost don't like how aggressive it is. And I have a love-hate relationship with very aggressive textures, because if you shoot your gun a lot, then they eat in your hand. So I call them cheese graters, because if you shoot a lot of shells, especially the Federal slugs and the high-powered double-aught buck stuff for home defense loads, which I 100% think you should actually try. Don't load your gun and not actually shoot that stuff. Load your gun, shoot the stuff, make sure it works in your gun before it becomes a home defense or defensive shotgun. But that's a whole nother video in itself. But I didn't like how aggressive the texture is. I don't typically shoot with gloves on, because if somebody breaks into my house, I'm not in law enforcement anymore, I don't wear gloves. So if somebody breaks into my house, I'm not going to say, wait a second, let me go put on some gloves and then I am good. I'm just going to pick up the shotgun and I'm going to clear my house as fast as I possibly can, as safe as I can, and try to make sure all my children are 100% safe, and the threat that's in my house in early hours of the morning has been taken care of, if you know what I mean. So that's one thing. Texture, a little bit aggressive. The weight of the gun, I will say this, big plus in my opinion. When I picked it up, I was like, this is pretty light. I'm surprised. I do have other shotguns that are a lot heavier and about in the same price point, kinda, and they're not as light as this. So my guess is they shaved a lot of weight with going with polymer. The forend is pretty light, it's pretty thin. It does have M-lock slots on both sides and on the bottom, so if you want to mount a light like I did, you can. They do have a plastic shroud that goes over the extension tube. I'm not really sure why they went that way, besides it shaves the weight off. The clamp here, I call them a butterfly clamp, because if you take them apart, they kind of look like a butterfly. That is polymer, even though it does have a QD slot on both sides for your sling. The rear has a QD slot that's embedded into the stock. That's definitely a plus. But here's the deal with shotguns, and especially with shotguns like this. I always kind of cringe when you spend at least $1,000, which is, I think, MSRP really on this thing, is what I paid anyway, is $1,000. Is when it comes to shotguns like this, I frown when they don't do a three gun cut. Excuse me. A 3-gun cut on a tactical shotgun, in my opinion, is almost a plus. Also, porting is a plus, but they didn't do that on this. Doesn't mean I can't port it. But I think if you're going to have a real performing high-end tactical shotgun, you should have porting up here And also you should have a 3-gun cut. So 3-gun cut, what I'm talking about is if you look at these really drastic angles right here, that is a 3-gun cut. That's hard to say fast. That is what I'm talking about. And what they do is they relieve a lot of metal out here. And as you know, anybody that's loaded a shotgun, trying to cram your thumb into the magazine tube and push that follower as you're loading shells, sometimes your thumb gets caught up and it hurts. It does not feel lovely. And it'll scrape the back of your thumb on your gate. So this has been polished too. I really like that they did that. They rolled the edges when they polished it. It's really well done for a gun that's $1,000. I know $1,000 is a lot of money, but I like that they did that, because when you spend that kind of money on a really good shotgun, you want it to be a really good shotgun with all the bells and whistles, and this has a lot of them. So my EOTech is on the Picatinny that came with it. It has ghost sights for the rear, as a fiber in the front. It's a red fiber. I went with an Enforce Picatinny mount, light. I like where it's set up. I don't like that I have to mount it with a Picatinny underneath and then mount the light. I wish this was a direct fit. Then I wouldn't have this, you know, 1/4 of an inch, almost 1/2 inch gap right here. I don't like that, but it is what it is. I can still operate it with my thumb at a forward position on the stock or forearm, so it's still in a good place. I'm so used to AR-15s now. I went from being classically trained in shotguns, being in law enforcement for about a 1/2 decade, and then getting out and doing all kind of cool stuff as a gunsmith and with Brownells and all that stuff, learning about AR-15s and perfecting that skill, where I'm so used to putting my thumb on top as a C-grip that you don't do that with shotguns, because if you do that and you shoot a bunch of federal shells or really hot loads, it'll burn your thumb. So it's a reminder not to do that. So a little bit of a tangent, I apologize, but really good shotgun, extended charging handle. You can go bigger if you want to go bigger, if this isn't quite as big as you want it. There's plenty of options out there. When you get into Italian shotguns, there's a lot of accessories and a lot of goodies, so I will say that. A lot of guys are going to bang me for such a big optic on a shotgun like this, and I get it, but this is kind of how I was trained. So when we run shotguns or breaching shotguns, we had optics, we always had EOTechs, and that just, maybe that's a law enforcement thing, I'm not really sure, but that's just the setup we ran, so I'm really comfortable with it. For me, on a shotgun, it does not seem too high, even though it looks insanely high. To me, it feels fine. It feels natural, because I have literally put thousands and thousands and thousands of rounds through semi-auto shotguns with an EOTech on top. So for me, it feels just second nature. So with that being said, let's dive into, is this a good home defense shotgun? And honestly, guys, it's a $1 million question, because it really depends on how much money you're willing to spend on a gun. If it's going to be the only gun you have and it's going to be your sole defensive shotgun. So there's a lot of variables. Some guys say they can't rack a shotgun. So if it's pump action, it has a pump up here on the forend, and racking it is too much. Or they wanted a gun where their wife can pick it up and not shuck the pump, meaning you're not pulling it all the way back before you're trying to push it forward and causing mechanical failure. I get it. Sometimes the semi-autos are easier, but sometimes they're not, because if you're in a high stress situation, you don't want to get stressed and see the intruder and then just literally unload the tube on them. I mean, you could, but you're probably going to have some holes in your ceiling, because when you shoot that quick with a shotgun, the muzzle rise is ginormous. It's huge. It takes a lot of control. You have to lean really hard into it to keep it flat. So there's pros and cons, guys. This is a long setup too. So I will say, if you're going to run a long setup, especially if your house has a hallway and bedrooms like most of us all have, when you're checking room to room, when you get into doorways and you're kind of stacking on walls, you have to kind of collapse your weapon system. So I call that short stocking. There's tons of videos on short stocking if you don't know what I'm talking about. Basically, it's going from this position all the way to here. So I'm bringing the weapon in and I'm collapsing the weapon so it's a lot more compact on my body. So if I'm here and I have to go around or cut the pie of a doorway, then I collapse it and I come up and then it goes right back out. So learning skills like that, if you're going to run a long system, in my opinion, is a must. Also, a big thing, a lot of people should agree with me on this one, is if you get a new shotgun, especially if it's semi-auto, make sure you run the shells that you buy that are going to be your defensive shells in the shotgun before it becomes a defense shotgun. So what I mean is, now that you have this nice, pretty shotgun, buy the shells you want to shoot, put it in the shotgun, go to the range or outside or wherever you can legally shoot your gun, and shoot them to make sure they feed and they work flawlessly. If they don't, pick another type of ammo until you find one that does. Once that due diligence process is done, then I would say you are good to go for your defensive shotgun setup. You're good to go. You've tested your ammo, because it is semi-auto. You can have problems, and it could be ammo related, or it could be gun related. You don't know. You need to test your platform before it officially becomes your home defense defensive shotgun. And if you want to go with this one because it's not a pump action and it's semi-auto and your wife can pick it up and squeeze the trigger once and put the target down, okay, then this is your shotgun. Test the ammo, learn how to short stock, or teach your wife also how to short stock would be my advice. If you like a more compact setup, we talked about, and I know a lot of guys love this video of the Kel-Tec KS7, which is the single tubed Kel-Tec shotgun. That is very compact. So imagine like just taking the buttstock off, that's about the size of my setup. It's very compact. And it's not a SBS, you don't need paperwork for it, it's completely legal. It's still a shotgun, it's just a bullpit style shotgun, which has its disadvantages. So as you know, loading, like double loading or quad loading here, is what you do for a shotgun like this. My bullpit, instead of it being here, imagine we took the buttstock off and now it's like way back here trying to load. So you honestly have to go under arm and then load this way and then rotate it up, and then that's the best way to load that shotgun because it's so far back because it's a bullpit design. Everything is moved to the rear to make everything more compact. That's how you have to do it. So there's pros and cons to a lot of different home shotgun setups. I'd love to hear what you guys are currently doing for your home defense shotgun. If you have a Benelli M4, or you do have a Beretta, maybe it's the 1300 series, or it's the A300 Ultimate Patrol like this one. What shotgun are you using? Are you using a pump shotgun? Are you using an 870 or Winchester 1300 or Mossberg, 500 series or 590, whatever? What are you guys shooting for shotgun? Do you rather have a home defense shotgun instead of a pistol? So leave some comments. I'd love to know. I know you guys love shotguns because you killed it on the views and stuff that were on my Kel-Tec shotgun. So this is my Beretta shotgun, and you guys let me know what you think of this setup, if you would buy this setup or you wouldn't buy this setup. I love to hear feedback, and if you like a shotgun for home defense. So thank you guys always for your time. I greatly appreciate it. And as always, I'll catch you in the next one. See ya.